What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Passionate DJ Podcast. I'm, of course, your host, David Michael. I'm with Mighty Mo. How you doing, my friend?
You can't see me, dog. No. What's up?
And we have a Passionate DJ ambassador,
Yes.
friend, mobile DJ. How do you want me to introduce
Fellow
you? DJ
Ohioan?
Brains?
Yeah.
That's fine.
DJ Brains,
Leo, whatever.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. We've been talking about this for too long, and here you are. So
Here I am.
sorry it took so long, but welcome aboard. Welcome to Passionate DJ Studios. And we want to pick your brain, man. Your DJ brain,
Pick my
as it
brains.
were.
Yeah.
So
Ew.
I wanted to make sure. Actually, Mo wanted to make sure that he was here
Yeah, absolutely.
for this episode because we've all met and hung out before, had lunch and stuff. But also because you guys have a similar interest, shared interest in the mobile DJing space and a lot of experience with that, which is something that I'm less experienced in. So,
Well, but before he starts downplaying himself, like his mobile game is on point. Like he's all
for
over
sure.
the place. So if you're not following him on social media, like Brains is all over the place, all over the Southwest Ohio area. So
True.
sorry,
Nope.
Yeah.
I had to throw you under the
nope.
bus before you tried to sell yourself short.
I will.
So we're glad you're here, man. And I guess just kind of introduce yourself to the audience and tell us what you're into style-wise and what you do as a DJ.
All right. Well, let's see. I like you mentioned, mobile DJ. So pretty much, I'll play just about anything. Somebody asks for it, I'll play it. If I can find it, I'll play it. I've played, everything from TV show theme songs and all kinds of crazy stuff in between. So I've been doing that probably. I've been doing things for about 15 years or so off and on.
Do you focus mostly or entirely in the mobile DJ space, kind of setting up your own sound and doing that as a business kind of thing?
Yeah, I do. Lights.
Awesome.
I always tell people, hey, I got lights and fog machine, and that really makes them pop like, ooh. Yeah, you're bringing all
See,
that. So
you
Just
bring
call
the
the
whole-
fire marshal.
You bring the whole experience to the show.
yeah, I
so.
get really disappointed when they say my sprinklers won't allow your fog machine.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's when you tell them you have a hazer, not a fog machine.
Yeah,
Right, because
that's
it's
true.
what, water vapor based instead of whatever.
Which
fog
is
machine
what mine is. and
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah.
So do you have a preferred style musically that you like to play as a DJ, or is it more that you just like DJing and playing whatever the crowd likes? Like if you had your pick, you'd be like, I play deep house or hip hop or whatever.
If you were say what am I most versed in, probably the best thing is like if there was an 80s night, I mean, I'd be there,
Yeah.
and I'd
I
probably
like
be
that
playing
answer.
like new wave stuff, things like that. Yeah, that'd be probably what I do. But otherwise, I mean, I've done country,
Yeah.
big hair, everything in between. So
What about format wise? You a digital DJ or
yeah, just all digital. I mean,
what's your
when iTunes came out years ago, I mean, I took my CDs, ripped them all,
yeah?
and that was
That was the end of that, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your weapon of choice, software wise or platform wise?
Well, Serato's what I've been using,
Okay.
and then I got turned on to the DJ Pro, so I've used both at the same gigs before,
Okay.
on PC and on my phone. So yeah.
So I guess that's as good as an introduction as any into the mobile stuff because
Well, but
I
how did
think
you get started?
How did I get started?
Yeah, I don't think we've ever talked about that. Yeah.
I mean, I think my interest in was back when I was a teenager, friends would have maybe like little dances and stuff like that, and I don't know. I was one of those kids that always had my headphones on 24 hours a day, making mixtapes, off the radio, and so I was like, oh yeah, I'll bring some stuff and play, and it just kind of went from there. And then hey, can you do this? Can you do that? And
so you were kind of the go-to guy and you just ran with it.
yeah, because
Nice.
I think I always made playlists in my head, so I knew, and so
A
I think
soundtrack for your life.
Yeah.
well, it became known, that hey, he knows all kinds of music. That guy,
What
so.
were your sort of musical influences when you were younger? What were you listening to? What were your parents listening to? So on.
I think, I got my start with classic rock.
Okay.
Um,
So a couple bands would be
Zeppelin.
Zeppelin, okay.
Was a big one. Obsessed with that, and
Okay.
So all of that classic rock, and then the '80s stuff, and then as we segued into the grunge music, kind of started listening to that stuff. I was never really into hip hop or even really electronic music. But when I was in my early 20s, this is kind of interesting. I was thinking about this the other day. I came across public WVXU, which is out of Cincinnati,
Mm-hmm.
and they were playing like I don't know, some '80s kind of alternative.
Okay.
I would call it almost new wave.
Okay.
I didn't know what it was,
Mhm.
but I was like, oh, I like this stuff. So then that kind of snowballed into
Yeah.
that way of listening to music. So I don't know. I go all over the place.
So how did that turn into you wanting to do this as a business or as a freelancer or however you would describe your start into doing mobile gigs and bringing sound to the gig and negotiating a price? Yeah, how do you get from that to there?
Well, my wife was in a direct sales, and she had a team, and they would have meetings locally and even on a national and a corporate level. And kind of through her, she'd always push me out and say, "Hey, my husband will do this." So, I would go and
You had an agent
they're
right
like,
out the
"Hey,
gate.
what do you need music?" I'd put together music, or I'd even produce little video segments,
Oh, cool.
with music and stuff, and so I did that, and then some people were like, "Oh, can you do my kid's graduation?"
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of snowballed, and I did little things here and there, but I didn't have any equipment. I had the music, and I knew what I needed up in my head.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just borrowed equipment forever, and then finally, we're like, why don't you just get it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Because it's a
time.
pain to borrow it, and people want you to do it.
So I
So-
like that, Leo. You're very DIY, right? Is that
Oh, all the way.
okay?
Yeah.
See, I can relate to that. I don't have. I'm one of those guys that. I'm not saying this describes you, but I'm one of those guys that has that jack of all trades, master of none thing. I feel like all the time. So I
Yep.
try to put
Same
my
here. Yeah. Get your hands in a little bit of
Mhm.
a
everything.
little bit of
Yeah.
everything, and so not saying that's what you've got going on, but that DIY spirit is strong in me, so I relate to that
Yep.
aspect of it. It's like I just want to figure out how to do it. I want to understand it intimately. I want to know, and so that's great. You just kind of throw yourself head first, and you start doing gigs, and people ask you, and you say yep, and you go for it, and now you're doing it as a successful business person. I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
say.
for sure. Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, that's pretty awesome. So the mobile stuff, man, I find it interesting that you were talking about like DJ Pro and Serato and your the taking requests thing and how that maybe that affected what software you want to use. I know this is something that's really on Mo's mind
Yeah.
the past few weeks, so maybe we can kind of start there. Well, first of all, let me ask, what did you start out with? Were you always in Serato when you came into DJing?
No.
No.
Well,
You said CDs, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I tested a few years ago, like virtual DJ. And I
Mhm.
was like, oh, it's free. Let me check it out. Let me
Mhm.
see what this is all about. I mean, I didn't have any hardware or anything.
Yeah.
But so I looked at that, and but until I really was like, okay, I'm gonna go out and be serious about it. That's the only time I really decided, oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into software.
So have you been experimenting in the field now with like, say, streaming at gigs?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You've done a couple streams.
I'll
yeah.
turn my phone on just
Yeah.
for fun, and I might flip it on Instagram.
Sure, sure.
So-
Let me rephrase. Have you done streaming music library, such as Spotify integration or PulseLocker or
Oh, you
something,
mean like
something
using
cloudy?
it,
Using
not
it to
like,
DJ. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Did
Did you try the PulseLocker thing before it got shut down?
I did the trial,
Okay.
and I did the. That's why I am with software. It's like, okay, I'll do the trial. I do a trial
Hey,
record.
you're an IT guy
Yeah,
by
yeah,
trade.
so-
That's right.
Okay.
Record box. I'll do the trial.
Yeah.
Okay, check it out,
Yeah.
and then and that's what I did. And then you mentioned
Yeah.
DJ Pro, and I was like, because see, when I got my controller, I knew I had Spotify, and I wanted to use Spotify.
Mhm.
Not all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but just like, oh, because somebody has a request. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have it. Let me just pull this in. But the controller doesn't like Spotify when you run it the correct way.
Yeah.
So,
But having that IT brain, you know how to ways around that. Yeah.
so yes, I found some ways around
Yeah.
that, and but and so I would use it from time to time. But now DJ Pro is awesome that way.
How's your experience been with streaming or cloud storage or DJ Pro or however you want to approach it? What are your? A lot of people in the comments are going to say, "LOL, Spotify at a DJ gig," because they do that every time. So I
Sure.
wonder,
Yeah.
since you've had some experience with that, and since Mo's exploring that now, how your experience has been with that.
Since most everything I pretty much do is on the fly anymore. I used to try to go and make playlists up and things like that, you know, like you would in Serato or whatever. But I always found by the third or fourth tune, I'm switching up what I was doing.
Well, talk a little
anyways.
bit about where you're DJing, because that
Yeah.
that plays a role in, with
Yeah,
what you're
so
saying.
like I've
yeah.
been, you know, like in a your mom and pop, you know, cafe or whatever.
Which you've
or-
shown me pictures. This is mom and pop cafe, probably about the size of this place. But he gets this place jumping though. It's like just
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
shoulders to shoulder, just
That's
people
awesome.
going nuts. Yeah.
So, you know, and weddings and things like that, people dances, people are always saying, "Hey, can you play this? Can you play this?" So, you know, it really lends to switching it up, and usually I just throw it all out the window. And
Yeah. Have you had any hiccups or problems or complaints?
yeah, I've had Wi-Fi issues.
Okay.
Let's see, one time I forgot both power cords for my laptops, and so I played until my laptop died, and then I switched to my phone.
I'm out, y'all.
I switched. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Then I switched to my phone.
The show
and
must
that was
go on.
fun. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
little things like that, or one of the things for the that I did for you with the Pink Ribbon Girls.
Yeah.
The Wi-Fi was spotty, and I probably leaned on that software a little bit too much going in.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I've always got my hard drive with stuff, so
Yeah.
you know.
So you're not ready to like just dive headfirst and say my entire library is just the world's music collection.
I don't think that's a safe thing
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
Same
it's
here.
Just, it's
Yeah,
just not safe.
Yeah, for as much as I am utilizing that in the corporate stuff that I do, I don't think it'll ever be. Currently, it'll ever be like solely like I'm gonna just leave everything in the cloud, because, like I said, most of the gigs I've done in the corporate wedding space over the past 3 years, I've had either Wi-Fi or cell service, and so that's one of the reasons why I thought about exploring it. But I know at some point technology will fail me, whether I don't know, someone runs into a cell tower with their truck while they're drunk or something, or my battery dies, because I use my phone and my iPad as hotspots respectively. You know, random software patch decides it's going to run it by itself in the middle of a set, which I know people have talked about their computers doing that in the middle of a DJ set. So I know technology will fail, so I'll never solely rely on that, but the manner in which I use those streaming services is very specific. Like, I'm not going to use that for a proper, like, when I'm actually DJing as an artist versus, well, quote, artist versus as a service.
I was going to ask you about that because since you do kind of a little column A and little column B, if you were going to bring Spotify into that DJ booth yet,
Oh, no, that's,
not feeling it.
no. I mean, for you and I that day we screwed around doing a kind of a tag set, that was pretty cool, and it proved to me that it can be done.
Sure, yeah.
But I don't know that I want to do that, because that kind of takes away a little bit of the art behind it. Again, I'm not some world famous DJ. I just use art as an adjective.
Sure.
But, you know, like building my set list, setting my cue points,
Yeah.
getting everything arranged in key or BPM or theme or whatever. Where, I mean, I could probably do that in Spotify, but there's a little bit of the hunt, you know, as far as like the quote crate digging.
So the stuff you do outside of the actual gig.
Outside of the actual gig, I still enjoy and appreciate that aspect of it, the work,
Okay.
the footwork that goes up until
That makes sense.
that 90-minute set that I might get. Now, where those things might kind of bleed over a little bit is probably the CrossFit stuff. I have my next gig isn't until February, so I have a lot of time to figure out what I'm going to do until then. So kind of loosely building a crate of what I'm going to play at that event. And obviously I'll still have my go-to stuff that I already have on my computer,
Yeah.
which I've been utilizing and upgrading over the past 5 years ever since I started doing CrossFit events. So this will be my first attempt to probably intermingle both those two worlds. So
Have you two, I'm sure you probably have by now, kind of talked about the struggles that you have with mobile DJing specifically, and have you any points to bring up on that side? Do you have any
how long is this episode going to be?
so do you have any common pains? And
Maybe we should limit it to corporate or wedding, because as far as mobile, that's pretty much.
Are they vastly different?
I would say yes, from the aspect that corporate, most people, I don't really get a lot of requests. Like the gig I had yesterday, it was just a Christmas party.
Okay.
Well, I mean, but Christmas parties are easy because it's Christmas. So I just, I get a Christmas playlist or a CD or type Christmas on Spotify, and boom, like I did yesterday. I did no curation.
Yeah. You knew what they wanted, and they knew what they wanted.
I took the gig. I made a playlist that they could drop requests in if they wanted to, and showed up to the gig. Me and my wife set up all my gear. About 30 minutes out, I go to the DJ Pro, type in Christmas, drag the playlist over to my folders, and that was the extent of my curation. I was like, man, this is stupid easy. And there was all these songs that I had never thought about playing at Christmas. I was like, oh, cool, I'll play that.
20 different versions of the same song by different people.
Yeah, exactly. So from that aspect, generally in corporate, and like the Pink Ribbon Girls thing that you covered for me, which is that big breast cancer
there was
fundraiser.
no request. I just did my thing.
Yeah, you just played music. You were just a background noise. In order to avert silence, you were just playing music.
Yep.
And I imagine you played much what I normally play, like just chilled out. You're not going to play some Pantera or Anthrax in there, but
I played some Bon Jovi.
Yeah. but that's taken into consideration who that crowd is.
Exactly, yeah.
What you're there for. You want to play some like kind of, it's a big gala that they do a majority of their fundraising for the year. So there's a lot of deep pockets there, and obviously older, more established people. So you're kind of playing, some 70s and 80s stuff to that crowd. And there's a handful of younger folks in there too.
Yeah, that's my wheelhouse. So it's like,
So for gigs like that, Brains and I, it's like, I can play whatever I want, and they're going to listen to it because they're my peers. So it's real easy.
Yeah.
So do you find a wedding crowd to be more difficult?
I'll let you lead with this one.
It just depends. The last one that I did, the bride was like, play country. So I'm like, okay. So we played country up until whatever point, and then after the ceremony and things like that, because we did the sound and stuff for the ceremony, kind of got into the dance part, the reception part, and I played a couple country. And one was just regular old country song, and one was like a line dance, because I was like, all right, we'll dig Boots Goon Boogie or something like that. So I played that, and the guy comes up and says, we're not into this stuff. And I'm like, well, bride told me, country. So my wife, who's with me in these events, she went to the bride and said, hey, can we switch it up? And she's like, sure. And some guy comes up and says, man, play some Back in Black or some AC/DC or something like that. And, ran it by the bride. She says, yeah, I'm fine with that. And I'm like, all right, boom, big hair for the next 45 minutes. So, I played Back in Black and cranked it, and those people went nuts.
DJ Brains is a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't stop believing, man. And that was the biggest pop of the night. And,
it always is.
But then they're like, okay, then somebody else came up. We want some more hip hop stuff. So you got to be able to switch. So.
Yeah. I think we'll have to do a whole separate episode on weddings, because it's its own beast. Like the one I had last weekend, and I've shared this with people before, like how I go about curating all that stuff, is I have a long process where I'm usually dealing with the couples for in excess of 6 months. And one of the things I tell you I do them is I give them homework. And each of them has to build me a playlist of no more than 12 songs. And like I said, the reason why I say no more than 12 is because they have to actually put some thought into it. Otherwise, I'm going to open up that email. There's going to be like 100 songs. And I'm like, okay, you're just dumping shit in there. I need a little bit more clarity so I know what your boundaries are.
That's a good point. I never really thought about like the wedding DJ gig is probably a lot more preparation, like the lead time and everything, the
Hmm.
work that you put in beforehand and after is
Yeah.
probably a lot more.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because the things that people bitch about a wedding are the food, the weather, and the music. Two of those three I have no control over, but I can control the music. But before I start even addressing the music, I go and talk to the bride and the groom, and it's like, what do you want me to do? This is probably one of the most important days of your life. I'm not gonna go. I'm not playing for me. I'm playing for what you want. And and sometimes they look at me as, well, just play what you want. I was like, no, 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 no. This is your day. What songs do you want to hear? Oh, well, can you play this? Can you play this? I was like, you tell me what you want to hear, and I'll play it. But I think one of the more important things is I always ask them, what songs don't you want to hear? And I
Okay.
usually kind of get that crooked look. I'm like, okay, I don't know what song that was your ex-girlfriend's favorite song,
Right,
or
right.
that song that you were listening to that night you got punched in the face,
Yeah, or your
and it brings back bad memories.
grandparent passed
Grandpa, yeah,
away
yeah,
or
exactly. I was like,
something.
tell me what those songs are, so I won't play
Macarena.
them.
I
Yeah,
don't.
or even or just just songs you don't want to hear, or songs you can't hear. And they're like, oh well, shit, please don't play this song because my ex-girlfriend really loved this
And
song.
then they probably come flooding in.
Yeah.
Oh shit, yeah, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I learned that trick along the way from somebody else, but
Have either of you played like the wrong song in that sense before?
not that I
No.
know of.
Now
Yeah.
I did one. We did went out to Iowa for a relative, so I guess it was a good thing they were relative. And she told me the song that she wanted to dance. Bride and groom first dance. I had the right song. I just had the wrong version.
Mm-hmm.
And so she like comes up and it's like, that's not right. I'm like, okay. And what is it? She's like, it's this one off YouTube. And I was like, okay. So that taught me a lesson.
Yeah.
At that point, I was like, okay, so now people are picking stuff off of YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
which could be anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Yeah.
fortunately there was Wi-Fi. We played the one off YouTube. She
Mhm.
wasn't mad or anything, but I was like, lesson learned.
And that's part of why I appreciate having when I send them the Spotify playlist. I mean, I'll ask them, obviously, do you guys use Spotify? Oh, yeah, I use it all the time. Okay. I'm going to send you this folder, dump whatever in there. So that way they're picking the version of the song that they want to hear, because I've had that issue before where I picked the wrong version because they said, oh, we'll play, Dance with My Daughter. Okay, well, Dance with My Daughter. I don't know anything about country. I just dragged the first one, the one that has, and I was using iTunes back then. So I just grabbed the one that had the most, had the highest rating. I figure, oh, that's it. And then
Yeah.
luckily, because like I said, whenever I do a wedding, I usually set up the day before, run them, and run through their rehearsal, and I'll play everything that they had, and that's where that got picked up. And she was like, no, no, that's the wrong one. I was like, okay, can you show me the right one? And she wasn't pissed off about it, but I didn't know that there were more than one version, just like your whole YouTube thing.
Yeah.
I did have one wedding where the couple, I was like, hey, well, she's like, oh, well, we have all the songs. We'll just send them to you. All right, cool. They sent them to me. It was all fucking rips from YouTube. So it had like ads in there and shit. So I had to go in
Oh,
there and
man.
cut everything out because I couldn't find those versions on iTunes or anywhere else for download.
So they're basically volunteering you to look like a jerk in front of everybody.
Yeah. Volunteering me to be a pirate.
Right.
So that so be careful with that. If you do ask your clients to provide you with music, make sure that they're not ripping music.
Do either of you have like horror stories about mobile gigs? Maybe you can do like a miniature bad DJ gigs segment.
You ever had fights at your weddings? I had
No.
one wedding where there were 3 fights.
Oh, so I was gonna say you said fights, but so one wedding, 3 fights.
One wedding, 3 fights.
Like get
Oh,
it all out of the way.
I
at
had
once.
never seen a fight at a wedding, let alone 3 fights in one wedding. I mean, granted, it was a massive wedding. I think there were probably over 300 people. So
So wherever 100 people are gathered, there will be a fight.
well, three. Yeah, I think 300 plus is the threshold or something,
Yeah.
because they brought like the way the place they utilized, like they had to bring their own alcohol or something like that. So they had like moonshine and all kinds
Oh,
of other
geez.
stuff, and I think it just got a little too rowdy, and some old beef came up or something, and yeah, I was like,
Yikes. Yeah, what do you
What am I supposed to do?
do? You keep playing the music? Do you stop it? What
Crank
did you
it
do?
up.
Yeah.
It was like I saw it happening, but I was like, was that a bear or was that a Bigfoot? Like I see it happening, but what am I supposed? What is my responsibility in all this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
Play some fight music, man.
Start playing some Eminem or something.
Yeah. Just encourage them.
Yeah. What about you? Got any craziness?
Nothing crazy. I mean, I've had some, weird things with scams and things like that. But
Scams?
yeah, you want me to mention that one?
Yeah, so does this have to do with the other day when you sent me a message and you said, I just scored the most lucrative gig I've had in ever or in ages or something? I said, oh, that sounds exciting. We'll talk about it on the show. And then you said,
Yeah.
no, I've got to change the story now. I said, don't tell me too much.
So,
Let's hear
this
it.
is this last week. I got a text from a guy who, his name was Tony, and he said, hey, would you be available?
Not Tony DeCero.
No, no.
Yeah, not our Tony.
Nah, it's not. That's a good practical joke. But he's like, would you be available to do this wedding for my daughter? And I said, well, what I did is I've gotten texts before. Like I had a Craigslist ad, and I got some texts, and I was like, oh, those are scams. So I kind of initially thought, I don't know. I'm not going to respond. I'm going to let it sit here for a couple hours. And I did, and he texted back. And then I'm like, okay. He texted me back. So I answered him and says, what's the time or what's the date and location? So he tells me where it is. I looked the address up. It's legitimate. I've been there for weddings. Had my daughter's graduation catered from there this summer. Totally legit. And so at that point, I talked to my wife because she always handles any negotiations with price and our price lists and whatever. So I was like, hey, text this guy. He wants information, blah, blah, blah. So she texts him back, and they get a conversation, and he wants to book December 22nd. So it's just a few weeks.
Yeah.
That's kind of short.
Wow. It's not like the one I had. It was 6 days. I did it in 6 days.
A wedding in 6 days?
Yeah.
Damn.
And she got scammed too.
Oh.
So,
Ooh, that
but
sucks.
so anyways, so the wife, she was in communication with him, and he's like, oh, I want to make payment and things like that. And so the service, we set up a different service than what we normally use for payments. And he's going to send, half of this. He wants a down payment to, reserve the date, blah, blah, blah. So roundabout, as things are going on, she's getting this weird feeling from him. And basically, at the end of this week, maybe it was just yesterday or the day before, the way we found out he was a fraud is I told her, I said, you need to call the venue. She called the venue. Oh, we don't have anything scheduled for that date.
Nope.
And he had
Red
been
flag.
he had been
Yeah.
he had been calling and texting her, to hey, has it gone? Has it cleared? Has my payment cleared? It's $3,200 that and that was more than what we were gonna charge
him.
for the wedding.
Yeah.
So he tried to send $3,200 on this credit card. Well, the system that we use listed all of the cards that he had tried. He had tried like 6 or 7 cards,
Oh,
and they were
wow.
declined. So you know what he was doing? He had a stack of numbers
Yeah.
Oh, just running
and
them.
running them,
Yeah.
and then he got one that cleared. And he also said, "Oh, our travel arrangements have been something's happened," because he was like from Florida or something like that. Can you, run this payment in addition? So he's trying to get more money
Yeah.
to cover transportation.
Yeah.
So once
Can you rent me a limo,
yeah,
by the way?
once we found out there was no venue, and then she saw all these, and she's like, okay, this guy's a fraud. So I was like, well, you either need to call the cops or call the FBI, because I know the FBI will mess with that kind of stuff. So she called the cops, and they're like, wow, we'll get a detective on it. So they got a detective on it, and finally the way it ended up was I got an email from the third party that was processing this payment that said, this has been
Flagged as fraudulent.
flagged.
Yeah.
Something in there flagged. Either the person reported it stolen or it was
Yeah.
suspicious activity in that account. So they canceled my account, which was no big deal.
Yeah.
But so my wife texted him back and says, "Yeah, we know you're a fraud. Don't ever contact me again."
So what was he going to try and do? Like,
So what his scam would be your he wanted the payment process.
Yeah.
So your payments processed. All right. So maybe what he would do at that point is like, "Oh, change your mind.
need to cancel.
I need a refund. I need cash refund."
Okay.
So he was going to get $3,200 in cash
Okay.
back from us.
Gotcha.
Which I
Okay.
was like, once I discovered he was fraud, I was like, dude, you ain't getting nothing. I was like, if anybody's getting it, I was like, close the account and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Sit on it. Yeah.
But they took it back. I was like, well, it's only the right thing
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
whoever it was that got cheated.
All right.
Yeah,
I've
that's
never.
crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I've never run across that.
But that's what will happen on Craigslist.
Okay.
If you put a Craigslist ad out, which I wouldn't recommend, but they'll text you and say, "Hey, I would like to book this date, and I want to make a down payment." And it's in broken English, so you know
Wow.
they're
It's a bot or someone from another country.
Someone from another country, because she couldn't even understand this guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So,
So-
that's interesting because
Yeah.
at least
well,
I tend to think
I
of.
didn't know there was a hustle like that.
Yeah,
so-
I mean, when it comes to like getting scammed as a DJ, like I guess I think of it from the context of like
You should-
promoters not paying
Yeah.
you or stuff like that, because those are the stories that I hear.
Mm-hmm.
But now this guy has this weird Craigslist hustle and is.
But
you
see,
know,
the
pulling-
crazy thing is that Craigslist expired a long time ago. So I don't even have it out there. So the weird thing is first of all, where did he get
your
on-
number.
get
yeah.
on to me? It's on my website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the venue's like 10 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is even weirder. And he's like spot on with all that info. So, man, I guess the next time is like somebody says, "Hey, I got a date at this venue." That first thing I'm doing is calling the venue and confirming that they're
Yeah.
a legitimate person.
That's a good practice now. I mean.
Yeah, that's a great DJ tip for
Yeah.
our listeners there.
Yeah, for me, like I don't do a lot of advertising or anything like that. Most of my business is word of mouth, so I tend to
Yeah.
have like from second or third degree amount of separation from everyone that I've ever performed for. There's only been a handful where people just the only ones where I don't have any knowledge of the people is usually when it's a venue that says, "Hey, you need to use this guy." But other than that, have some sort of direct contact or some knowledge of who my clients
Yeah,
are.
most of mine are like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got the website just like if it's somebody that I don't know, say, "Hey, go check it out." This is what we do.
Do you have a preferred way that you like to promote yourself or advertise, or how do you get your gigs primarily?
Usually referrals, word of mouth, business. If I'm out, like, "Hey, here's my business card," and it's got all of my I got all of my social media. It's got
I
my
thought
website.
you might say that because I think that you've said that before. Right?
Yeah, it's got
most of your mobile stuff has been kind of word of mouth. And
Yeah,
gig leads to another gig leads to another gig.
Most of the corporate stuff has been a result of, like I said, the stuff I do with the nonprofit organizations. But as far as like the weddings and parties and stuff like that, that's usually been straight referrals.
Yeah.
I did try some advertising. Those like table ads you see at restaurants. I paid for one of those for 2 years, and I did get. I've gotten 2 gigs off of that, so that I think I paid like $700 for 2 years or something. That's already paid for itself
Yeah.
twice over. So now everything else I get from that is just pure juice.
Nice.
So
nice.
I mean, now I made sure, when I did my website, I did set up as a Google business. So if you Google DJs in Wilmington, Ohio, I think it brings up 3. Well, if you really look at them, I'm probably the only one that's really legitimate.
Okay.
I'm guessing just by looking, because you can follow it. I've set it up, the right way, so you can follow the links to my website or
Yeah.
Facebook. It's got
social
all the
media,
little
yeah.
blurbs and things that you should have, and
All the metadata and stuff.
yeah. And I had a girl that did that. She's like, I was like, "How'd you find out about us?" I Googled it, and then she followed it to my Facebook page and sent me a
Awesome.
Facebook message. And that was the girl that got taken by some other.
So can you share that
Yeah,
story?
yeah. So I get this Facebook.
I never knew people. I've heard.
It must be a thing.
Yeah.
So I get this Facebook message, and she's like, "Hey, wondering if you're available for this date." It was Well, I won't say that'll spoil the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Mm.
So, so I'm like, I am. And so then at that point, my wife is administrator on my Facebook page, so she was getting them too. So she chimes in and she says, "Yeah, I had a DJ, and her first one that she had was like he was gonna charge her like $700 or something like that to do her wedding. And but her dad, in the meantime, found another guy who said he'd do it for $299. Probably that's what they advertise on Craigslist. If you ever look,
Okay.
$299 for a wedding. I'm like, really? But
What do you get?
exactly.
with that?
So,
Yeah.
anyways, so she's like, so she canceled the first guy, and she must have paid a deposit, and she got her deposit back, from what I understand.
Okay.
The second guy that was $299, they were close to the wedding date, and she's like, "Hey, I haven't heard from you. What do you need?" and things like that. And he's like, "Oh, just tell me where to plug in." This is exactly what she said. And so that was the $299 guy, and she's like, she wasn't comfortable with that. So she canceled, and he wouldn't
Give her
refund her
deposit.
anything.
Yeah.
So it was Sunday night. We got the Facebook message. My wife met with her on Monday, and the following Saturday was the wedding.
Wow.
And
They were
so-
probably like under the gun, man.
so she,
that's gotta
yeah,
be really.
and she was such a sweet girl,
That's gotta be an
She was in her
uncomfortable
early
feeling, yeah.
20s and said, "Can you help me?" And so I was like, well, yeah,
Yeah.
She was local.
I'm not doing it for $299 though.
I didn't, but we did cut like 50% off what I
Sure.
would have
I mean-
normally. I was like, I felt so
Yeah.
Right, I
bad
was
that
just
she'd
saying,
been.
can I just say, like, what a piece of shit to like ruin somebody's
Wedding.
most
Horrible.
important day.
And it wasn't just
like that.
playing the reception. I mean, we ended up they had the ceremony in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
So my wife did the MC stuff, provided the mics for the ceremony and
Mm-hmm.
everything, and it was awesome because her family was like, "Oh, you saved the day," and I was like, "Hey, I just
I
wanted
wouldn't want
to
that
do-
to happen to
was like,
a friend
yeah.
of mine.
I was
yeah.
like, I just, I felt bad, and I knew we could do it. I'm
Mhm.
like, so, yeah.
How hard do either of you find it to make money around here as a mobile DJ, if I can ask?
For me, like, I don't do so many gigs to try and make revenue. I mean, granted, I'm not going to do it for free, but I don't run it as a business. It's more of like a hobby that I can generate some additional cash from. So I don't spend a lot of money on advertisement, like I said, with the exception of that table ad. And for weddings, I maybe do 5 a year.
Okay.
But
Well, that's a decent clip, though, considering all that goes into a wedding.
well,
gig.
but I read some of the things. There's people doing like 30 gigs a year, and I'm like,
Serato.
Jeez.
DJ
That-
Serato.
yeah.
He does
Yeah.
30 gigs
Shout
in a
out
month.
to Serato. Yeah, 30
weddings in a month.
Yeah, 30 gigs, 30 days.
We'll be talking to you about that later.
Yeah, but yeah, I just I have so many other things like that I'm involved with, on a day-to-day basis in addition to being a husband and a parent that I can't. I just couldn't imagine myself doing 30 gigs in a year. But for me, because I'm very selective. And there's been clients where I've said, I don't think I'm, what you need or what you're looking for, because just after because I do a face-to-face consultation. I don't just do everything electronically because I want to meet the people that I'm going to be basically slaving away for a minimum of 2 days. Like I said up the day before and I do the gig, but then I'm in constant contact with them throughout the entire process. Like the one I did last week, I've been working with them for a year. She's an athlete I coach.
It's a long time.
For CrossFit. So excuse me. She's an athlete that I coach during CrossFit. So she's like my fitness daughter. So for her, it's like, it was real easy to do, like, oh, a year, that gives me plenty of time to make sure you get exactly what you want. But then there's other ones where, like, actually it was a referral from Chill. Shout out to DJ Chill, leading the Silent Revolution. Like he was covered on a date, and it was like a 9-month process because they were from out of state and they would fly in. I would go meet them, and that's just extra, that value add thing that I like to present, because I'm not cheap, but I think I'm fair.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely not at the high end of the spectrum for what we've seen in this town, but I think I charge a reasonable price for what I deliver. You know,
Sure.
you know how many of those megacorps are out there delivering, unlimited consultations? Because I've seen them where you get so many, and then after that you have to pay. I'm not going to nickel and dime people because again, I don't have that much overhead. I own all my equipment. I keep my radius kind of specific so that way I'm not having to get hotels and stuff overnight.
Yeah.
But I want to keep it fun, so I put those restrictions on myself, and I think because of that, I have fun. I enjoy what I do, and people know that I'm kind of choosy about my gigs. So when they approach me, they know that that's what I'm about. So it kind of gives them more incentive
Sure.
to try and be cool with me when during
Yeah.
the consultation and throughout the entire process, because I've never cut anyone off in the middle of developing a gig, but I certainly have cut them off from the beginning, just like, I don't think this is gonna work. And it's not me, it's you.
Yeah, I got asked to do like a square dance. No, I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not doing
yeah. Well, yeah. If it's like salsa merengue, it's absolutely not my wheelhouse. Like, let me
I'm
call let me call Danny D or something, because you don't want me doing that, because it's gonna be like a bunch of left-handed baseball bats. I can't do that.
What kind of rate do you have for your? How many gigs do you do in a month or in a year?
It just depends. I'm not out there, beating the bushes. I probably should at sometimes, to get a little bit more. But I don't know. I just kind of feel a little bit more organic about it. Last few people generally
A couple times, a couple weekends in a month, or
not even that. Like I don't have it.
Okay.
If it hadn't been for the scam guy, I mean, that would have been the only thing I had going in December.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. I'm not out there. Knocking on doors and really. I don't know. That's just not my style.
yeah,
So
I feel
I
that.
think I really just rely on, I did this gig and I'll do my best and, talk to people, try to make some connections. And if something comes out of that, whether it be next couple of months or next year, my wife's my biggest, she pimps me all the time.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
was gonna say, it
she's
sounds
like,
like-
oh, I do this. Well, my husband does this. And so like, I've got a graduation next year,
Yeah.
that's next year, but it comes from other people helping.
Yeah.
So just
get
kind of
it out
having that team brains, does that help with the lucrative side? I mean,
Yeah, because
you have two people kind of looking at everything.
She had a solid background in sales.
Oh, okay.
So,
his
so
Mama Brains is a hustler, dude.
So, I couldn't do it. I need her to do that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, you be the brains, I'll be the talent.
Wait.
Yeah, I know. I'll be the talent, yeah.
Wait, which of us is the brain? I'm so lost.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's how it functions with us. Usually if they contact me, I'll turn it over to her. She'll talk to them, and she'll come back to me and say, hey, what do you think?
Yeah.
Whether it's price or what she thinks. She knows what I can do and what I have. And if we're willing to get something,
Yeah.
that we need extra. So it's kind of nice. So I can just focus on
Just
what
the
I
gig
do.
itself, yeah.
Yeah.
Are either of you big negotiators when it comes to that? I think I know your answer, but I'm not.
I don't negotiate at all. My
No.
wife will. Well, what she usually does is she'll say, if somebody says, "Hey, give me a price," she'll ask them what their budget is. What's your budget?
Okay.
So, if, like this guy,
That's a nice
the
soft
skim
way
guy
to-
said, "Oh, $10,000," and I'm like, we discussed is like, is that our DJ budget or is that the wedding budget? 'Cause if that's the DJ budget. We quoted him way too low.
right.
So that's what she does because we're out in more of a rural area,
Uh-huh.
so we're more inclined to run into folks who don't have as much as maybe some of the
Right.
City folk.
City folk.
City folk.
So it's like, we've had it where, here's what we charge, and that's as far as you get. So she's kind of changed it. It's like, hey, well, what's your
Yeah.
budget? If you can only do this much, well, we could probably work with that. Most times you can. It's not like
Sure.
it's not like I've got to,
an empire.
$300 payment on my controller every month, and I need to make $350 to make some
You're
money.
not going to lose a great gig over $100.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
gotcha.
So we've done that. Like
Okay.
that girl who got scammed. I'm like, I was like, just do it for X
Oh,
amount.
yeah, totally.
I mean, that's it's not what this is about. I was like,
Mm.
and what came to mind is a lot of the things you guys talk about. It was like just making a good name. I was like, these guys slammed the DJ business.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is my chance
Yeah.
to say we're not all like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
plus, like, I know this wasn't exactly where your head was at the time, but who do you think that girl's going to recommend next time somebody needs
Yeah.
a wedding
She put a
DJ?
5-star on Google. It
Yeah.
was like, if you liked it, and she did it on my Facebook and she did it on Google. I was
That's
like, awesome, love it.
And that's what was going to be my comment. That money that you didn't make that you probably normally would have is probably paying itself in dividends because she's telling all her girlfriends who are going to get married, oh, you need to use brains because I was in a pickle. He hooked me up.
And
Yeah.
that might not show returns for a year or
Yeah.
3 years or something, but and
Stuff like that does come
like I
back
said,
around.
not that that was necessarily your only motivation there, but I
Mhm.
mean, I think just having that kind of approach, like, okay, this person just needs help.
Yeah.
Like, I have a skill set.
Mhm.
I feel bad for that person. I think that will karma or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call
Yeah,
it
yeah.
will come back around
Yeah.
in that respect.
That karma credit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. For me, it just because I do so many different things. It just depends on what the gig is. Like most of the nonprofit stuff I do, unless they throw me money, I generally don't ask them for money because that's my opportunity to give back. And then so many other gigs have been yielded as a result of me doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Corporate, that's completely different because they obviously have a budget.
Right.
Weddings kind of take that same approach. I have a minimum rate that I need to get out the door because it's taking time. It's taking time. Time is something that's very valuable to me. I truly appreciate the time that I do have. So if you're taking time away from me to do whatever, I need to be compensated for that.
I always say I can find a way to make a couple more dollars. I can never get time back.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But like things like the football games for my boys at their high school, like there's no way I would ever take money for that. I mean, pizza and Coke, that's Coca-Cola.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, that, and just having the opportunity to see those kids get excited, when they score a touchdown and I play the fight song or whatever. And one thing that Tripp pointed out, because I play one, song 2 by Blur, is what I play for touchdowns. And then Tripp was saying, he's like, dude, you have no idea, but some kid 20 years from now, he's going to hear that song. He's going to remember you playing that when he scored the game-winning touchdown at homecoming. I was like, fuck, dude, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, you're kind of there's like
the soundtrack to their lives.
Yeah, there's like a subtle DJ legacy that you're leaving there for that person, even if he doesn't remember who you
kid
were.
has no idea who I am, but he's going to hear that song and it's going to trigger a memory. I was like, dude, I never even thought about that. That's
awesome.
So cool. But like I said, corporate, screw them. I'm taking the money.
All right, I do want to mention one thing. I should have done this in the middle of the show, but I need to remind all of you great Passionate DJ listeners about our bonus show called After Party, which you can access by becoming a patron. You can do that at patreon.com/Passionate DJ. And After Party is our monthly bonus show where we put all of our deleted segments, our anything that we remove from the show, any side conversations that we had outside of the show, special segments we record for the hell of it, just for our supporters, all that kind of stuff. You can access that for super duper cheap. Once again, all you got to do is go to patreon.com/passionate DJ, and we also have merch, so check us out at passionatedj.com/merch. Get you a Passionate DJ logo shirt, hoodie, or one of our custom designs, and we would love to show that to you guys. So before we wrap it up, is there anything else that you guys would like to talk about? I kind of don't want to hog the mobile discussion here, and that's kind of your wheelhouse, so I'll leave it to you if there's any questions or anything else.
I mean, people ask me about like how do they get started. Because actually a couple guys yesterday hit me up. I was like, hey, well, I have this gig coming up. If you kind of want to see what the behind the scenes look like, I was like, you're more than welcome to come hang out. Here's my card. Email me, call me. I told them about the show. Check out the show. This is what we're about. And for those of you that are mobile DJs out there, if someone comes and asks you, it probably took a little bit of courage to come talk to you about it. Just kind of be responsible about it and show them the path that they can take to become, a mobile DJ or a DJ in general. Or maybe they just want to be a bedroom DJ, and that's fine too. But, that could be building your legacy as a DJ, and maybe they're one of your future minions as you build your empire. Yeah.
Any advice for our mobile DJ listeners, Leo? Throwing you under the bus.
Be nice to people.
Yeah.
Here.
Be kind. I think so many people get raw deals from people, in the world today, and they just need somebody to take a little interest, listen to them, play their song,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Absolutely.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Unless you're playing a gig and you're being hired as DJ Brains to play at a show or a festival, and you're DJing as a service, you're not playing for yourself. You're playing for those people that paid you. Because generally the only times I get to play what I want is when I'm playing for free.
Oh,
whether it be in my basement.
I've had ones where like my wife's like, "What song are you playing next?" And I'm like, "This one." She's like, "Why are you playing that?" Because I like it.
Yeah.
I'm playing it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play this one. That happens sometimes.
Sure.
Just indulge a little bit. And
Yeah.
they'll like it.
Yeah.
Or not. But
Well, Leo, what do you want the people to be able to get a hold of you? Do you want to give out Twitter or Instagram or anything that you want to plug? You want to share a mix? What do you got?
just my Facebook page.
Okay.
Facebook.com/DJ Brains.
All one word straight across, DJ Brains.
Yeah. Other than that, everything's there.
Great.
And I will share goofy little things out from that too as well. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show and finally, being able to hang out here and share your story with the listeners. Thank you so much for coming by, and also thank you so much for everything that you do for us as a passionate DJ ambassador. We really appreciate your feedback and insight and everything. So thanks so much for coming by, my friend. And we will see you soon, and we will see you all on the Passionate DJ podcast next week. Keep on spinning.
Later.